You're a business owner and content creator and you want to keep your hard-earned money. In this video, I want to show you and tell you all the things that I write off in my business for my taxes. Because if you're not taking advantage of these things, you're going to be leaving thousands and thousands of dollars for the IRS to take from you. And that is your money. You worked hard for that money, so you should be able to keep it. I got to do a quick disclaimer. I am not a tax professional. I am just a professional pooper scooper that owns a small business and also creates content and also has to file for taxes. And I've learned a little bit of stuff along the way. So I want to share that information with you. So contact a tax professional before you make any hasty decisions. I want to start off with my pooper scooper business first. This is my home service business, and this is the whole reason of why I'm able to create content, because I create the content based off of my pooper scooper business. Business operation stuff. So let's start off with the softwares that I use for my businesses. I use Jobber. I'm able to write that off. I use QuickBooks. I use editing software for both businesses. I'm able to write that off as well. Any apps that we use for a business, you write that off because you're using that for your business. You also want to make sure that you have a business bank account. You don't want to be mixing personal and business. So this is going to be a lot easier for you if you have a dedicated business account where all of these transactions are coming out of. That way, when you have QuickBooks, QuickBooks is able to record all of the information and all of the transactions, and you're able to write QuickBooks off as well because it's part of a business expense that's helping you keep all of your transactions in order, which then when you file your taxes, either you do it yourself with like a TurboTax, which if you're using TurboTax, you're able to write that off on your taxes, or you have a certified CPA that's doing your taxes for you, and then you write that off on your taxes as well. Woo! We're just writing everything off on our taxes. You're going to write off your website, your hosting domain, any edits that somebody is doing for your website, you're going to write that off as well. If you're doing advertising, Google, Facebook, Nextdoor, you're going to write that off on your taxes. Anything legal, you're going to be able to write off on your taxes. So say, for instance, if you hire LegalZoom to, write up contracts for you, help you file for your LLC, or you hire, Taylor Brands to help you create your business, you're able to write that off on your taxes. If you are investing in education, such as like the Poop Scoop Millionaire community, that subscription you're able to write off on your taxes. When you file for your LLC or your DBA, you write that off on your taxes. The insurance you're writing off on your taxes, okay? Any tools and equipment that you use within your business, what are we doing? Writing that off on our taxes. Are you using your vehicle for business? What are we doing? Writing off on our taxes. Gas, writing that off. You do have to be very specific with that. Like with me, I have a gas card through Speedway, and we track our mileage with the gas card, and I'm able to see the dollar amount. So if you're not, make sure that you're documenting that information, you're writing down your mileage, or you're using a gas card that tracks that information for you, so then you're able to pull that information when it's time for taxes. I write off my phone, I write off my AirPods, I write off this little microphone that I'm recording this content on, my phone bill, my Wi-Fi is being written off because it's all used for business expenses, my iPad, my laptop, any of the subscriptions that go with that are getting written off on my taxes. Clothing, but it has to have your company name on it, written off on the taxes. Hats that are branded, written off on the taxes. I'm writing off my payroll. Every person I pay to do any work in my business, I'm writing that off. It doesn't matter if they're a W-2 employee, they are a 1099, the contract work, if I have you make a document for me, if I am paying an editor, if I'm having somebody go pass out door hangers, which also if you have marketing material that goes into your advertisement. You're going to write that off on your taxes. Payroll is a huge one for me. Gas and payroll, huge tax write-offs. And my business is an LLC that files as an S corp, so I am actually on payroll. So I am an employee of my business, and I write that off on my taxes. I also contribute to a simple IRA through the business, and guess what? I know my accountant does something with that with the taxes. If you invest in any type of education, we're talking physical books, audible books, subscription podcasts that you listen to for business. Say, for instance, if you're part of the Poop Scoop Millionaire community over on School, right there, you can write that off on your taxes because that's helping you grow as a business owner. I'll include that link down in the description. Definitely go ahead and check that out if you haven't yet. Any type of like networking things, like if you're part of the Chamber of Commerce, you're going to a networking event, you're going to a seminar, you're going to write it off on your taxes because that is business related. If you're going out to eat because you're having a business meeting, if you're going to have a coffee and it's a business meeting, you're going to write that off. But you want to make sure that you're saving your receipts. You have to save your receipts. And it's easy for you just to take a picture of your receipt and upload that into QuickBooks. I'll include a link for QuickBooks down in the description. If you're not using it yet, you really, truly should be. My husband was not, and I was like, I'm not doing your taxes if we don't have QuickBooks. So we went ahead, we got QuickBooks, we itemized, reconciled all of his transactions, sent that over to the accountant, so my bill from the accountant wasn't super expensive. Because even though you can write that off on your taxes, I would prefer to not have my bill be that expensive when QuickBooks just makes things a lot easier and a lot more organized, more streamlined. Content creator specific write-offs. Now, because I have two different businesses, I have my Pooper Scooper, and then I also have my media company. I decided because I was creating content, I wanted to have a separate business for content creation. This way I'm able to keep my books separately. Now, there is some overlap, so I do kind of pick and choose what systems and what's being purchased through which business, okay? And I make sure to run my card for that business. Both of them have their own separate QuickBooks, so it keeps everything very, very organized. Really the main thing, anything that you're filming with. So if you're using a phone or a camera, I personally just use my phone. I have two separate phones. I have a business phone for the poop scooping and a business one for social media. That's the one I'm on right now. This microphone, I write that off on my taxes. Any of my podcasting gear, such as like any of these tripods, that's getting written off through my media company. Podcast microphones, rugs that go into the podcast studio, fake plants that are in the podcast studio, chairs, lighting, pens, pencils that I'm using inside of the studio, sound pads, a backpack that is going to protect the equipment that I'm going to travel with because I do travel. And if I'm traveling to go do content creation, then the hotel, the airfare, the food, the event I'm going to, that is all a tax write-off. It's just very important to make sure that you're documenting and you're saving your receipts. Take a picture, upload it to QuickBooks. Any of the software that we're using to edit, you could either use like, your Final Cut Pro, CapCut, InShot, like whatever you are using to edit your videos, a tax write-off. If you have an editor, write that off as well. And creating this content takes up a lot of space, so I'm writing off my SD cards, external hard drive, the mouse for my laptop, my carrying case for my laptop, my iPad, those subscriptions that go with the iPad that goes with the social media company, my desk lighting, phone chargers, laptop chargers, the candle that goes into my office that makes my office smell good, the other smell good sticks that look nice on camera and also smell good, writing that off. My tumbler, my water holder that has my brand on it, I'm writing that off. And very similar to what I spoke about earlier with the poop scooping business, any apparel that has your branding on it, you're able to write that off. If it's a water jug, a coffee mug, a pencil, a koozie, a backpack, a shirt, a hat, pants, Crocs, whatever, you name it, you can write it off. Just make sure it has your logo on it. Let's get into common mistakes. I've done this. I don't want you to do it, okay? Mixing business with personal. You got to keep tight records, okay? Because an audit will eventually happen. I don't know when it will happen, but eventually throughout your journey, you will probably get an audit. So you want to keep these tight. Don't mix business and personal. If there is a way for you to write it off as business and it can be used as business, do so. Not having a business bank account is also a mistake that I've seen people do. I haven't personally done this. I got my business bank accounts right away. It's like one of the first things I did after I filed for my LLC. And that's another thing I see people do. They don't become an actual business right away. If you don't do that, then you're not able to write all this stuff off on your taxes. So become an LLC right away. Down in the description, I should have a link for Taylor Brands. They can help you file and start your LLC. So go ahead and click that link. They make it super, super simple for you. Like stupid simple. Forgetting to track your mileage. I've done this before. That's stupid. Make sure you're tracking your mileage, okay? Because this really is a huge expense for me and my business. And not hiring an accountant and trying to do it all on your own. Are you a tax professional? Did you go to school for this? Do you know the ins and outs? Do you know the tax laws? No? Then why are you doing your taxes by yourself? Spend the money to get a tax professional. And if you can't afford a really good one right away, that's okay. Get what you can afford. Then when you start to make more money, you upgrade. I've went through 3 or 4 tax accountants over my years, depending on how much money I've been able to bring in and what I can afford. And I ain't stopping. I'm just getting started. My goal is to eventually have a tax professional and an accountant from the Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki. I want one of his people to be doing my finances, but you got to have deep pockets for that to happen.